Four people are sitting around the table.
See, in this world, there's two kinds of people, my friend.
Suddenly, a bomb goes off.
Those with loaded guns.
Now take the same scene and tell the audience there is a bomb under that table.
No, you dig.
So the whole emotion of the audience is totally different.
You dig.
This episode, I picked Raging Bull. What did you think about Raging Bull?
I was not a fan.
Really? Interesting.
I didn't think it was a terrible movie. I just thought it was a waste of time to watch.
I didn't hate it. I thought it was a little bit boring. I thought it was better than The Godfather for sure.
Oh, well, that's a crazy take. I'm just going to start with my main issue with this movie. I felt like there was no goal. The movie
he wants
played
to be the best.
Yeah, but there's no build up. He got his title and then he lost his title and then he went to jail. It's just it didn't feel like a movie. It felt like I watched a 2-hour documentary on this man's life, and his life sucks.
Yeah, and he's a dick. He's not a nice person at all.
No, this is I rated What's Eating Gilbert Grape a 2, right?
Oh God,
this is a 4.
Okay. All right.
I've seen it and I didn't hate it. The way the movie was made isn't terrible. I just there wasn't a good enough plot.
For me, if I were to give this movie a rating,
there was no plot. It was just event in this person's life, next event in this person's life, next event in this person's life.
I would give this movie a 7 out of 10.
I don't know why.
Well, the acting is super good. The visuals are very good. But yeah, the story is, I could agree with you that it's a little bit lackluster. Yeah. But I did take notes. I've got a total of 40 notes. I wonder if, did you take notes?
I did.
I wonder if you and I start with the same thought.
My first thought was his first boxing scene in the beginning, and my first thought was he likes getting punched in the face.
So we did not have the same thought. The first thing I noted was that he's fat because the movie starts at a flash forward, and I've seen the title, or not the title, the cover of the movie, and he's not a fat person. So I was like, okay, this is definitely not the same time. And I was a little confused. I didn't know what was happening at the very first scene because he's talking to himself, trying to amp himself up, and he's fat. I thought he was going to be the announcer to a boxing match. That's the first thing I thought. But towards the end of the movie, you know what's going on. Then I wrote, I guess that one doesn't make sense. His first wife, their relationship is not great, and he's a major dick to her. She's cooking him a steak, and he doesn't want her to overcook it. And he's just being a complete douche about it. And they argue, and she fucking throws him the steak, and it's bad. They have a really bad relationship.
I wrote something similar. So in the first scene, after the very first scene that Christian talked about, he fights he fights the champ for the middleweight boxing class, and that's where I put my note if he likes to get punched in the face, because it seems like he's not even trying to not get punched in the face. It seems like he actually enjoys it. And then he knocks the person to the ground, which he cares about a whole lot for the whole movie for some reason. And he still loses to a technicality because he let the person punch him in the face like 100 times. And then I wrote that they tried to play the national anthem to get them to stop fighting because they call the end of the match and they're still fighting because he's pissed that he lost.
Also, something that confused me about that first match was that the whole crowd started fighting.
I know, yeah.
That was confusing.
And I thought it was funny that they tried to play the national anthem to get them to stop fighting. It did not work. And then my third note, it talks about him fighting with his wife, and I wrote, he fights more with his wife than his first opponent.
Jesus. And right after he argues with his wife, his brother manager comes up to talk to him, and they start talking. And, I think you're right about him enjoying getting punched in the face, because he tells his brother to punch him in the face for no fucking reason. And he does it. His brother is just punching him in the face, and he's like, keep it going. What the fuck is happening?
I wrote the same thing. I said he loves getting punched in the face so much he asked his brother to do it.
Yeah. At first, I didn't think his brother was going to do it because his brother was very reluctant. He's like, "No, are you crazy? I'm not going to punch you in the face." But then he caved it and just did it. Oh God.
During that conversation, he talks about how he wants to be the champion, though. He's like, that sets up sets up the goal for the movie, but the payoff for that goal is not built up, and it doesn't. Oh no, that is the goal. Is him becoming the champ is the goal, but the way the story plays out, it's very unsatisfying when he achieves that goal, which I didn't like.
Now thinking about it, it's probably to show that he's a little bit obsessive because he wants this championship thing, and once he gets it, nothing really changes. So like, it could show that.
And he also changes nothing about himself to achieve that goal.
It could probably show that even though he gets what he wants, he's never going to change.
There is no personal growth from this main character the entire movie. He stays the same shitty person the whole way through.
Yeah.
And that's part of my issue with why I thought the story was crappy. It was like, and why it felt more like a documentary than a movie is because, like, okay, yeah, I'm just watching scenes from this person's life, and sure, he achieves his goal of becoming the champion, but like, he didn't do anything to do that. He just got punched in the face enough times and eventually won.
Yeah. Then him and his brother are sitting along like a pool, and he sees this girl named Vicky, and she's like this super pretty girl, and he's fucking drooling over her. And his brother's there talking to him about this girl, and he's like, he knows her and he knows some things about her. And they mentioned something that had me questioning this guy, the morals about this whole thing. His brother said that she's 15. And
really?
She is 15. And at first I was like, okay, he's not gonna fucking go for this 15-year-old girl.
I totally forgot about that.
And I was questioning it. I didn't know if the brother was just like joking, because she doesn't look 15 at all. She looks like a grown ass woman. Like the actor, I'm sure she's fucking over 30. She does not look like a fucking 15-year-old. That's why I was so confused as to why he said, "Oh yeah, that she's 15." But later on, she says something that confirms her to be 15 at the time. So he likes this 15-year-old, which also kind of foreshadows something else that happens towards the end, which is a little bit.
Now
different.
you mention that makes sense.
But he's super interested in this 15-year-old girl, and he brings her up to his apartment. And while this whole thing is happening, I'm like, this is not a good idea. Like, I know he doesn't have a good relationship with his wife, but I was just thinking, like, while he's in his apartment with this 15-year-old girl, like, any minute his wife could walk in, and I can't, like, they were arguing over a piece of meat, literally, a fucking steak. And if she walked in on them fucking both in their apartment, they're going to be arguing about a different piece of meat. And it would have been bad. All hell would have fucking broken loose.
Yeah. He's kind of a stalker. Because I wrote down that he finds this girl at the pool, which is where he's talking to his brother, and then he like follows her around for like a couple days until he finally asks her out.
Yeah.
And then when he did ask her out, his conversation mostly, like, he barely talks to her. All he keeps asking her to do is sit closer to him.
Yeah. He's kind of a creep.
Yeah.
When they're in his apartment, she's like looking around at stuff, and I was thinking like she's gonna find like wedding photos or rings or something, but
It wasn't his apartment. It was his dad's apartment.
oh, what?
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was his apartment.
No.
Oh, okay. That all right then it's okay. Then he cheats on his wife. He fucks the 15-year-old.
And then let's see. After that, it cuts to him beating the dude that he lost to in the beginning. And then it kind of cuts again. Like, it just shows this fight, and then nothing really comes of it. He beats the dude, and he's happy or whatever. And then I wrote down the writing for this movie is not good. And then it fast forwards again to another fight with the same dude. So he's going to fight this same dude for the third time. And I thought
they're like the rivals, like the main rival.
Yeah, but there's no like tension, but like the movie doesn't do anything to build any tension between these two people. It's just like he lost a fight and then he won a fight and now he's going to go fight him again. And I wrote down a note because I thought it was funny. He pours ice water on his junk before the fight.
Yeah, that's my next note. I have heard of this with fighters and like some of these fighting sports. They can't have sex or like get aroused before a fight, and I don't understand it. I've heard of it, but I don't understand it because that's a thing.
I don't know.
Have you heard of that?
Not really.
I definitely have. I think if a dude like gets horny or fucks, he like loses a little bit of testosterone. But I think that's why they can't get a boner or have sex right before like their event. I've definitely heard of that. So because like he was with his chick in their bed, and he was getting horny, and he was like, no, wait, I can't. And he was trying to fight the horniness, so he poured ice water on his dick to like kill a boner, because he was about to go do a fight, and he couldn't be horny. So
people online can't make up their mind whether it's
oh god,
good or not.
the people that do that, what do they say?
Here, let me pull up the pros and cons again. It's not even worth the time. There's the pros are the same
Is it
as the
about
cons, just
testosterone?
kind of. But like the pro for not doing it was like doing it could lower testosterone, but on the other argument is that it could also boost testosterone. So people are unsure. I don't know.
So it's a gray area.
Yeah. Let's see. And then third fight, he loses to this fighter again. This fighter's name is Sugar Ray.
Honestly, throughout this movie, I wasn't even that interested in the fights. I was more interested in this guy's life. His life was more interesting than his fights.
They spend very little for like the goal being him like winning this championship. They spend a very little amount of time on the training and or fights.
Yeah.
Then it jumps forward again, and he gets married to Vicky, the pool girl.
Yeah, they don't really show him like leaving his other wife, but honestly,
they do not show that.
I'm glad he married this new girl because he seemed miserable with his first wife. So honestly, after he got married to this new chick, he seemed a lot happier. So I was kind of glad that he got married to this different girl.
This all happens in like a montage that spans like 7 years where he gets married. His brother gets married. He has kids. His brother has kids. And then it like stops at a point where him and his brother, both with their wives and children, are at his house. And his brother, as the manager, is setting him up with a fight with a new guy. And he tells the main character that he has to lose a bunch of weight, which like... which I don't know, pisses him off for some reason. Like he's a fighter and he has to lose weight, but he throws temper tantrums for everything.
I think
he's
since
a little baby, so he gets upset with his brother.
I think since he's so into this sport, he's just really cocky and like he doesn't want to hear any criticism from anybody about this thing that he's obsessed with. That's why he goes off.
That's the thing is like if he was that obsessed, he wouldn't have gained the weight. Like he's not even that obsessed with trying to do this thing. He's just a bad person. He's just like he's like, yeah, I want to win the championship, but when you make me do stuff that to achieve my goal, I'm gonna get pissed off and yell at you.
That's why he's so cocky because he wants this thing so bad, but he doesn't want to like put in the work for it. He just wants it.
That's just, I mean, I wouldn't even call it cocky. It's just lazy.
He's like, yeah, this shit's mine. I'm gonna take it. Like, you can't tell me shit about it.
But like you still have to lose the weight to even do the fight. So
yeah,
I don't understand this man. And then his wife makes a comment about the guy that he's going to go fight and says that he has like a good looking face or whatever. And then he gets super paranoid that his wife's going to cheat on him. And him and his brother talk about it. He gets mad at his wife and like throws her out of the room.
They're both kind of rude to their wives. But I think this was the time period where it was like okay to be a dick to your wife.
They're because
it's an old movie.
They go overboard though. Like
yeah. Yes,
like
they go to extremes.
They are not setting an example for how people probably treated their spouses in that time period. They are the outliers for sure.
Yeah, but like when I hear like old people used to be dick to their wives, I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, makes sense. It was a different time, but they definitely fucking go overboard, especially Jake. Jesus.
And like you realize very early on that like the problem with his first marriage was not his wife. It's the problem with his whole life is him. He is the problem. And then he gets paranoid that his wife's going to cheat on him, and then that kind of persists for the entirety. This paranoia persists for the entirety of the whole movie, and ended up making his life worse because he has this unfounded paranoia. It ruins his marriage. Let's see.
And they go out to like a bar him
They
and
do.
his wife and his, I think his brother was there too. And his wife is just like says hi to somebody.
Yep.
She comes back to sit at the table with him. And he's fucking going off like, who did you talk to? What did you say? Like, Jesus, dude, like, chill. Fuck. It's bad.
At that bar, they talked to some old dude who was like an old partner of theirs. And he says, yeah, I'm going to win the upcoming fight. You can bet everything on me, right? And then I was like, oh, finally. He's going to lose the fight, and there's going to be something to this story. Right, there's gonna be like a point of conflict, and then he just wins the fight. He beats the crap out of the pretty boy, and then like they could have left out that whole conversation. It wouldn't have changed the story.
There was a small amount of buildup to this pretty boy fight, and I don't know if you don't know a lot of actors' names, but the character that they called the pretty boy, they called him Gennaro, and the actor that plays Jake, Raging Bull, he is Robert De Niro, and I thought that was a very funny little coincidence. I do
know who Robert De Niro is, and I did know that he played this character.
Oh, okay. Because usually when I ask you about actors, you're like, I don't know. So I didn't know if you knew who Robert De Niro was.
I do.
But there's kind of like a long build-up for this fight against the pretty boy. And Jake, the Raging Bull, he doesn't care. He doesn't have any interest in this pretty boy. So when he fights him, I think he's just taking out all this fucking built-up anger and aggression out on him, and he fucking like beats the shit out of him. Damn near almost kills him. It's bad.
He really does beat him up. But yeah, it's like a good 30 minutes of build-up just for like a 1-minute fight with no tension.
It almost wasn't even a fight. He just completely destroyed that guy. He didn't have a chance.
Yep. So he wins this fight, and then it kind of fast forwards in time a little bit again, probably like a couple months. And then earlier in the story, when his wife makes the comment about Pretty Boy, the main character asks his brother to keep an eye on his wife because he's super paranoid that he's going to cheat. And then the brother goes to a bar, and he finds the dude's wife hanging out with, I forgot his name, but I referred to him as old friend.
Yeah.
And then the brother gets in a fight with this old friend because his brother's wife, the main character's wife, is hanging out. And then that leads to, again, nothing.
Honestly,
it just shows that his wife is like kind of tired of the main character's like attitude and the way he treats her, and is like hanging out with. Honestly, at that point, I thought he was like, "Oh yeah, I'm just kind of hanging out with friends or whatever."
I honestly think that the brother, he was being a good brother at that point, because Jake asked him to like look out for my wife if she's like sneaking around doing some shady shit, and he does. He's at the bar. He sees his wife, not with Jake, with other people, and he tells the wife like, you got to go. You can't be here. And that's a good brother, you know. Like even though his brother, it's not personal between his brother, but he's still looking out. Like his brother asked him to do something, and he's doing it. You know, I thought he was a good brother, but later on, he kind of fucks up because he should have told Jake, and later on we'll probably get into this later. But he didn't tell Jake about seeing his wife at the bar. That's where he fucked up. He should have just told him. But
the movie doesn't even explain that until later, though.
Yeah.
Let's see. So after they get in the fight, the old friend also knows the let's just call him the business partner. So the brother and the old friend go to this business partner that was you saw earlier in the movie, and then they basically apologize to each other, and then nothing happens.
Yeah.
Um.
And Jake starts arguing with his wife about more bullshit, and he's getting super controlling. And at a certain point, like, you have to let your wife go out and have fun. Like, sometimes it's all right if she's not with you. You guys don't always have to be together. To a certain point, you got to let her fucking go out and have fun, you know? But he's just fucking up her ass all the time. It's fucking annoying.
Yep. The next note I have is that he loses a fight with the heavyweight champ on purpose.
Yeah.
So again, it fast forwards in time again, and he gets put up for this heavyweight fight because he's overweight again. And then they say, "Hey, you need to lose this fight." And then he does lose the fight. Well, someone I think the business partner says like, "Hey, you need to lose this fight or whatever." And he's not super happy about having to do it. And then the person that's in charge of like the boxing sport, the organizer says, "You aren't just gonna lose on purpose or whatever, right?" And he says, No, I'm not gonna do that." And then it's pretty obvious that he loses on purpose.
Yeah,
but he
doesn't
loses
even
it.
put his hands up at all.
He loses in a way where like he pisses everyone off, and it, like, instead of like falling to the floor, he like tries to have some pride or whatever, and then he just loses to a technical knockout instead of an actual knockout. And then so that pisses everyone off, like the business partner and the person that he said he wasn't going to lose the fight on purpose. So then he gets kind of like banned from the league for a little bit, and he has a little hissy fit and cries.
Yeah.
And then it cuts forward again. And the next note I have is he finally, and like throughout all these cut forwards, he's like, there's like scenes with him and his wife where like he's just a bad person the whole movie. And then
he starts, like, they get into another fight, him and his new wife, and he starts slapping her. That's where I thought, okay, this is getting bad. Like, first it was, okay, it was arguing, whatever. But, like, now he's, like, putting his hands on her and slapping her. And his brother tries to step in, and he fucking goes off on his brother. And that's when it was starting to fucking get even worse than it was before.
Yep. So, yep, just still same thing, fighting with his brother, fighting with his wife. Cuts forward. It cuts forward to a fight, and then he wins the fight, and it's like, oh yeah, he's achieved his goal. He won the championship.
And it's like nothing.
And it's nothing. Like, it's like he's not super happy about it. There's no build up. He's achieved his goal. And then the movie continues. And then after that, he finds out, and this is a part I was kind of confused about. He finds out his brother and other people had sex with his wife, but I'm not sure if that actually happened. Because
I don't think it did.
You don't think it did?
No.
I couldn't figure out if it actually happened. Because, like, he gets in an argument, and, like, he gets, like, super mad at his wife, and he's like, tell me, I know you did it, I know you did it, I know you did it, and she's denying it the whole time. And then she finally snaps and is like, okay, yeah, I did it. I had sex with your brother and a bunch of other people. And then it's like, it's not very clear whether this actually happened or if it didn't happen.
My opinion is that it didn't happen because Jake, the main character, he's so paranoid about his wife. And because his brother used to know her, like, he started talking to her, trying to, like, get with her, like, so long ago. And, like, she's pretty, she wants to go out and talk to other people. So I understand why he's paranoid. But, like, his paranoia is getting, like, it's consuming him so much that he's starting to break. And when he's pressuring his brother and his wife about it, and like they're both saying no because nothing happened, but then he's like he's starting to fucking lose it over this shit, and what the fuck is the word, belittling, whatever. He's taking it all out on his wife, and she can't take it. So I think she's just telling him what he wants to hear. I think she's just like saying, "Yeah, I did," because that's what he fucking wants to hear. And I think the truth is that she didn't, but she told him yes, just so that he would get what he wanted.
And then I agree with you. I just couldn't figure it out. I kind of need a second opinion on that. And then after that, he goes to his brother's house and beats his brother up in front of his wife and kids.
Yeah.
And then that happens, and then he goes back home, and his wife's like, "Okay, I'm gonna leave you." And then like he somehow convinces his wife to not leave him with like a 1 minute conversation. And it's like, why? And how is this happening? This is ridiculous.
It's a toxic relationship, and there are bad things in toxic relationships. Like, people don't leave from toxic relationships. Some people stay because they're crazy. But him beating the shit out of his brother, that separates them for a really long time. Like, because he doesn't talk to his brother anymore after that.
Yeah, he does. They don't talk after that. They do not talk until the very end of the movie. So yeah, somehow he convinces his wife not to leave, and then he has one more boxing match against the same dude from the beginning, Sugar Ray, and he loses his title. Like a month after he got his title, he loses it to Sugar Ray, who came back and took the title from him. And then he's like, "Okay, well, I lost the title and I'm done boxing now." So, and then he gets fat and opens a bar.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy how they filmed it, because at first I thought it was like a fat suit, but then they show him like without a shirt, and he's really fat. That's crazy. That reminds me of Christian Bale, how he just goes crazy with his roles. Like, for one movie called The Machinist, he's like deathly skinny. Then he got fat for Batman and like bulked up, and then he did another movie where he's just like a fat slob, and he just changed his body, and it was crazy.
Yep. Yeah. So he gets fat, and he's like throughout his boxing career, you kind of see him gain a little bit of weight, and you see him cut down for the fights. But like after he loses this fight and like quits boxing, he gets like pretty fat. Yeah. And then he's like, "You know what? I'm going to open a bar and become a comedian." And on the first night that he opens his bar, he stays out late and parties with some underage women, and in the morning his wife leaves him. Finally.
These girls that are in his bar are trying to get drinks, and the bartenders are trying to ID them, and the girls are saying, "We don't have our IDs," and he comes over. Dude, he's such a creep. He says, "Prove to me you're over 21." And they start fucking making out. And he's like, "Yeah, she's over 21." And she's fucking 14. It's bad. It's bad.
Yep. So that happens, and it doesn't really show anything happening, but it's implied later that stuff did happen.
Yeah.
So his wife leaves him, and then like a week later,
I'm so glad that she left him. She had every fucking reason and right to
it should have happened earlier. Yeah. I don't know why it didn't.
I think they had more kids too, right? Because at first they had one, and then they have three.
They had 2 kids total.
Oh, 2? Okay.
Yeah.
Damn. Crazy.
And then, so like a week after this happens, the FBI or whatever show up at his door and is like, "Yeah, what you did, not with that 14-year-old, not good. And you're going to have to get a lawyer or whatever. So then he goes down this path of like trying to get money for a lawyer, and he's like, you know what? I'm going to take the jewels out of my championship belt to try and pawn them. And he goes, so he destroys his championship belt and takes the jewels out and goes to a pawn shop. And the guy's like, you should have just left them in the belt. It would have been worth more.
He fucked up. Fucking idiot. Jesus.
So then he doesn't have enough money to get a lawyer and he goes to jail.
Something I forgot to mention earlier. When his brother finds his brother's wife in the bar hanging out with other guys, they have a discussion before all hell breaks loose. And that's when his wife says, I'm 20 and like I go home to an empty bed and he doesn't fuck me anymore. She's now 20, which means 5 years ago she was 15. So he met her when she was fucking 15. He's a creep.
Yes, I'll just agree. Yeah.
Yeah.
The main character, not a good person.
But yeah, he doesn't have enough money. He goes to jail. Yeah.
And in jail, he has a mental breakdown and he punches the wall. And then he starts crying. He's like, ow, my hand hurts because I just punched a wall for a minute straight. And
honestly,
it's like,
he deserves all that pain. He deserves it.
So after he has his mental breakdown, I wrote another note and I said, what is the point of this movie? Because I'm like, what am I watching? Like, there's nothing that has happened. Nothing substantial has happened. I'm just watching this dude's life. Anyways, he gets out of jail and he's like, you know what? I'm going to go back to comedy, except he doesn't have his bar anymore. And now he's just a shitty comedian. He like before people liked him. And now he's like barely doing any gigs at all at like some crappy bar. And so it shows the one scene where he's like, everyone's kind of booing him at a bar, and then his set ends and he goes outside and he finds his brother and he's like, oh, brother, let's be friends again. And I wrote down, when he has no one left, he tries to go back to his brother.
Yeah.
And then the movie ends.
When he's fat as a comedian, the way he looks a lot like the Penguin from the Batman movie. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, fat, like losing his hair.
Not the old Batman movie, the new new Batman movie.
The Colin Farrell.
Batman.
Colin Farrell plays the Batman, the Penguin.
Oh, okay.
He's just in like a bunch of makeup.
Yeah.
But the Robert Pattinson Batman movie.
Found not a technically bad movie because it's like technically like the way it's shot and the acting and the visual effects are all fine. I just said that it felt like a waste of time.
This movie,
the plot was just not there.
This movie has a big similarity with Joker 2. Because Joker 2 has phenomenal acting. The camera work is amazing. Everything looks beautiful, but the story is terrible. Raging Bull, the acting is very, very good. The camera work is very, very good, but the story is just kind of lackluster.
I don't know how you can rate this a 7 out of 10.
Because I like the acting, and I like Robert De Niro, and I like the drama that's going on. And camera, it's pretty to look at. There's like some camera moves that are like slow motion and like really like shallow depth of field. It just looks beautiful, but the story is like kind of meh. It's not a fucking 10. I don't love it.
I just don't know how you can rate the Godfather lower than this.
because The Godfather, the camera work was fucking worse than The Raging Bull. The acting was kind of crappier than Raging Bull. There wasn't as much interesting drama.
I disagree with every single one of those statements, but your opinion is your opinion.
Yeah, you can't take it from me, bitch.
I think you just like this movie more because you picked it, but maybe that's just me.
No, dude, I have a shelf of DVDs of movies that I've never watched that I've always wanted to watch. The Godfather 1, 2, and 3 are on there. I've wanted to watch The Godfather.
Okay, that's fair.
I wanted to watch Raging Bull.
My opinion is don't watch this movie. It's a waste of time. Go watch Rocky. That's an actual good boxing movie with a good plot and good acting and good definitely more wholesome family drama.
Did you know?
Have you seen Rocky?
Never. I've never seen any of them.
You should. You should
I will.
watch them.
I will. In Rocky, Sylvester Stallone had a dog, and he sold his dog to like buy food or something because he was like broke and starving. And after Rocky, he wanted his dog back. I think he sold his dog for like $50 or something like that, some low amount. And later on, after he became this fucking giant celebrity, he wanted to buy his dog back, and he had to buy it for like $30,000, some fucking absurd amount, and he did because he loved his dog.
That's a sweet story.
I think I got some of the fucking details wrong, like some of the numbers, but that's basically the thing about his dog. But
Did I cut out for a second?
Yeah, you did.
Okay, what's your final opinion of it? Like, would you recommend someone watch this movie?
No.
Okay.
I think I'm sticking with my. Okay, you know what? I'm changing my rating out of 10. I'll give it a 6.5 out of 10. Now that I'm really thinking about it, I feel like most people this movie would bore most people. But I still enjoyed it. It was okay. But yeah, 6.5 out of 10 for me.
I'm okay with that. That actually, something about it not being 7 makes me happier. Like I'm actually okay with it being a 6.5. I have nothing left to say for this movie.
Do you
It was
regret watching it? Have you ever watched it before?
I've never seen it. I don't want to say I regret watching it. But the entire, like, when I was done watching it, I was like, you know what? That was a waste of 2 hours. And not a lot of movies leave me with that feeling. Even really bad movies, like, sometimes they're so bad that it's like mildly entertaining, and it's like, okay, you know what? That was a really bad movie, but I watched it. This, at the end of this, I was like, you know what? I wasted 2 hours of my life.
I think the way you feel about Raging Bull is the same way I feel about Godfather Part 1.
Okay.
All right. Well, do you have any other closing statements before I end the podcast?
I would like to wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving, everyone.